Happy Friday, everyone. So in this PowerPoint, I'm going to go over how grades work for this 9 weeks. Since you're in your last assignments and a lot of you guys are wondering, what is my report card going to look like? So I'm going to go through and explain it, and I'm going to try to keep the video as short as possible, all right? So as you guys know, we completed 3/4 of the year. So in green, those 3/4, you're already set. Those grades were finalized and part of your GPA well before spring break. So whatever grades were in those boxes, this person I put ABA, those will stay the same. It's this 4th quarter with the question marks that everyone's curious about. Now, whenever you get a letter grade, there is a set amount of points associated with that letter. So here you'll see the chart with an A being worth 4 points. That's the highest you can get. So when you hear a 4.0 GPA, it means someone with straight A's. An F is the only thing that gets you 0 points, meaning you get no credit whatsoever. That is why it is really important to try to get a D or higher to get your credits, especially in graduation requirements like biology. So since we have these points, this is how we get your GPA. We total the amount of points for your 4 quarters, for the whole year, all of that. Now, we can look at an average for just one class for the year. So we're going to look at Joe's biology grades. Joe had A, C, C, A. So using the chart that I had in the previous slide, we'll see that he had 4, 2, 2, 4, equaling 12 points total. So we'll take the average of that in a second. Now, if something were to happen where the 4th 9 weeks isn't there, you can do the same thing and take the average of just the first 3 9 weeks points and determine a score for it. So if we have the same grades for Joe in biology that we did on the last slide, but we take out the 4th quarter, instead of 12, he has 8. Okay? So we have 4, 2, and 2. Now, the question might be, well, why is the 4th quarter even necessary? Why couldn't we have a shorter school year all the time and just have 3 9 weeks? There's a lot of reasons why, but one thing I want to show you here is the GPA. So I told you we'd look at taking an average. An average is the total sum of the numbers divided by the number of categories. So if there's 4 9 weeks, Joe has 12 divided by 4, and he has a 3.0 GPA. If you have an 8 and you only have 3 categories, so you divide 8 by 3, you'd have a 2.66 GPA. Which GPA would you rather have on your report card? What do you think a college is going to take if 2 people have these GPAs? So we do see that having those 4 quarters gives you a lot of opportunity to get a good GPA and finalize it and have a really solid grade. Well, things are difficult this year. 2020 was not a normal year. So we're not going to be able to do the 4 quarters as usual and make everything nice and neat. But we have 2 options that are pretty good to make sure that everyone does the best they can. So if you did all of the online learning, you did all your work, and you received a grade that you like, that will go in your report card. So if you got an A, a B, something nice and high, you did all your work, that's great. It'll be the same as though you were in school. But there was a lot of obstacles this year. A lot of people didn't have computers. A lot of people didn't even know what was going on until later on. And online learning is hard. You don't have a teacher sitting there in the classroom with you. So these obstacles, kept you from completing your task. What we're going to do is take the average of your first 3 quarters, and whatever grade that comes out to is the grade you will get. So if it is higher than what you scored online. So I'm going to show an example because that's the easiest way to explain it. So let's go back to Joe, and then we have Cheyenne. Joe had the same grades I've shown you, A, C, C. 4th 9 weeks, he got online. He did all of my activities, my assignments, got an A on the Sex-Linked Traits quiz. He's doing well. So his online learning grade is an A. He earned that A. That's what he's going to get. Even if I went and took an average of his first 3 9 weeks, that would have been a B average. Why would I give him a B? He earned an A. I'm going to take the higher of the 2. But now let's look at Cheyenne. She didn't do as well as Joe. She had D, C, C. So the fourth 9 weeks, Cheyenne didn't have as much access to a computer. She only did 2 assignments and she scored an F online. Now, if this was in class, she earned that F and that would be what goes in the report card. But it's not in classroom. We're online, so we understand it's difficult. So since she did get an F, I'm going to look at that as her online learning grade. Then I take an average of her first 9 weeks. DCC averages out to a C. So I'm going to give her the higher grade because it's not really fair to give her an F if she didn't have the tools to access that to get a better grade. So you will have the higher of one of those two grades, either the average of your first 9 weeks or what you earned online, whichever one gets you more points in your GPA. Now, I'm going to be spending the next week calculating these averages out. It's going to take me a while just because of how the system works. This is a little cheat sheet if you guys know your own grades and you're curious about what classes to focus on or what classes you're worried about your grades in. If you add up the points from each class using the scale I gave you earlier, I will post both scales on Teams for you so you can use this without having to watch the whole video. If you add up your 3 grades, your 3 report card grades, and you have 11 to 12 points, then that would be an A average. And if an A is higher than what you got at all in online learning, that is what will go into your report card for fourth 9 weeks. 8 to 10 will get you a B, 5 to 7 equals C, 2 to 4 equals D. So even if you got an F because you couldn't do the online work, but you had a D average, with everything else, you'll get another D in there and keep kind of the same GPA, okay? Now, some of you might be really upset. Well, why did I do all this work? Some things to consider. I gave a lot less assignments online than I would in the normal classroom. I assigned 10 things online. I usually do 25 when we are in school normally. All late work is being accepted without penalty, and you are getting a redo on anything you want, including assessments. These are not things I offer in the classroom. You also have 2 weeks of makeup time. So if there's classes that you really need to get a better grade for the year in, this is a good time to take advantage of this. You have less assignments, you can turn things in late, and you have 2 weeks of no new work to really focus on increasing a class, especially graduation requirements, your English, math, biology, and history credit. If you're in 10th grade, I don't think you have a history credit, but if you're in 9th grade, that is one to focus on. These are graduation requirement courses. If you already have good grades in all those classes and there's an elective you've had a D average in all year, try to get an A in the elective online and boost the overall grade to a C, because the GPA is what a college will look at, not your individual grades. So take advantage of this. You could score pretty high. It's also for the pure sake of keeping your minds active so that next year's transition will not be as hard. I hope this clears up how grades will work. If you have any questions, as always, reach out to me. I will be working next week on determining averages. So hopefully by the end of next week, you'll know what grade is going in the grade book for sure. All right, have a great Friday and a wonderful rest of your weekend.